Scientists have discovered a sealed tomb believed to be from the time of Jesus, hidden for 2,000 years. Inside, they found shocking artifacts that could rewrite history and reveal secrets long thought lost. For decades, archaeologists and scientists have been searching for the tomb of Jesus, and now they've finally found it. In this video, we'll take you through the amazing discovery, what was found inside, and how it could change everything we know about history and faith. For over 2,000 years, the mystery of finding the exact spot where Jesus was laid to rest has been a significant journey filled with historical and religious importance. This search has been about connecting deeply with the culmination of the Passion of Christ, which is an important moment in Christianity. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem is celebrated as the site of Jesus' tomb by many. Pilgrims from around the world flock here, driven by faith and a profound connection to the past. However, not everyone is convinced that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is the actual site of Jesus' burial. The truth is, there isn't solid archaeological or historical evidence to confirm it. Over the centuries, this has led to numerous alternative theories about the location of the tomb. The first Protestants were notably skeptical, and they distanced themselves from what they saw as a Catholic-centric site. Some even suggest that the Garden Tomb, located just north of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and matching 1st century Jewish burial traits, is the real site. Now, there is a clash between faith and history. According to the Gospels, after Jesus' crucifixion, Joseph of Arimathea wrapped Jesus' body in a linen and laid it in a new tomb located in a nearby garden, a place where no one had ever been buried. This adds layers of mystery and leads us to question, where is this garden? Could the traditional garden tomb be the actual site? This exploration touches on deep religious sentiments. Some fear that questioning the established locations disrespects sacred grounds, while others see it as an opportunity to deepen our understanding of Christian history. So, what have the latest excavations and studies revealed? Are we close to solving this ancient mystery? Only time will tell. After Jesus' death, the apostles faced some pretty intense opposition. Detractors were out there loudly proclaiming that Jesus wasn't the Messiah. They were so determined to discredit him that they spread stories about his death. Their idea was simple. If they could show the exact place where Jesus died, marked with graves and blood, it would counteract the apostolic messages. This fierce opposition led to a relentless search. It began from the hill where Jesus was crucified and stretched to where they believed he was buried. As this search intensified, hopes soared that they would finally pinpoint the exact location of his grave. People thought finding this spot would provide concrete evidence to challenge the apostles' teachings. Despite all these efforts, the tomb remained difficult to find. This search went on for centuries, with many still holding on to the hope that the tomb would one day be found. And after an extensive search, it finally was. But what lay inside this tomb sealed for over 2,000 years? Keep watching to find out. Before that, let's talk about how early Christians viewed all of this. Interestingly, they didn't focus much on the tomb itself. For them, the resurrection was the real story. It symbolized a new beginning, a victory over death, and a promise of transformation through Jesus Christ. As time passed, however, the importance of these holy sites grew, including the tomb. Pilgrims began to visit, and the story of Jesus' burial site started to take on a new level of importance. The quest to find the tomb became a symbol of connecting with the roots of Christianity and understanding more about its early days. So, what does this all mean? The search for Jesus' tomb continues. Speaking of the historical evidence surrounding Jesus' tomb, discussing it can be a bit tricky. The accounts of Jesus' burial vary depending on which gospel you read. In John chapter 19, verses 38 through 42, Joseph of Arimathea places Jesus in a new tomb with a garden near the crucifixion site. But if you look at Mark chapter 15, verses 42 through 47, it describes Joseph buying a linen shroud and placing Jesus in a rock-cut tomb with no mention of a garden or it being new. These differences make pinpointing the exact location of Jesus' tomb quite challenging and lead to a lot of hesitation among historians. In 1980, an exciting tip came in about a possible tomb in Jerusalem. After nearly a year of negotiations, the Garden Tomb was finally excavated in 1981. Initially, the committee overseeing the dig didn't recognize the presence of a nearby Second Temple period tomb. It wasn't until 1989 that they took another look at the site in the context of modern development. They realized that they could lose a significant historical site. This led to the creation of a formal research plan that gathered all existing information on the tomb from archaeological, historical, and architectural perspectives. And with this, a new stage for future digs was set. The real action happened in the summer of 1994. From July 23rd to August 28th, a controlled excavation took place to get more detailed information about the tomb's features, dates, and historical identity. This excavation was all about precision. The team conducted minimally invasive tests and recordings, cleaned and drafted a detailed plan of the tomb area, organized a photographic database, and documented the architectural features of the tomb. They even set up a detailed grid plan for the excavation and created a system to tag and record small finds. One of the most important parts of this process was the collaboration between archaeologists and a team of conservators. They worked together to develop a comprehensive strategy for preserving the site. This included maintaining the iron fence around the tomb and preventing water drainage into the area. All the data collected during these preliminary stages was intended to support a larger project to research and preserve the Garden Tomb. Moving on to the initial discoveries and excavation, it all started with some initial preparations for road construction in the Peace Forest. As they analyzed the terrain, they stumbled upon something truly remarkable. A tomb that would eventually reveal so much about ancient Jewish Christian communities. The Israel Antiquities Authority was called in to handle the excavation, and in 1981 they made an astonishing find. They uncovered a plastered stone that had sealed the tomb. Amos Kloner, the archaeologist leading the excavation, was blown away. In his 30 years of studying rock-cut tombs in Jerusalem, he had never come across one sealed with a rolling stone. This detail alone suggested that this tomb belonged to wealthy ancient residents of Jerusalem. As they continued to explore, they found an assemblage of ossuaries, which are limestone boxes used for burials. We'll talk about these in detail later. Now let's talk about the artifacts they found and why they're so significant. First off, the location of this tomb is very close to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Many believe this church contains the site of Jesus' crucifixion and burial. This proximity has led to the exciting possibility that the tomb and its contents might be linked to Jesus himself. If these findings do belong to Jesus' tomb, it would be groundbreaking. It would be the first time physical evidence could be directly connected to the historical Jesus. Among the various findings, one stands out: a stone slab that was discovered in the tomb in 1980. This slab is particularly important because it matches the biblical description of Jesus' burial. According to the Gospel accounts, after the crucifixion, Jesus was laid in a tomb and a large stone was rolled into the entrance. The stone slab found in the tomb fits this description perfectly, and hence, scientists believe it is a major piece of evidence. When it comes to the analysis of what they found during the excavation, it has the potential to completely change our understanding of early Christianity and its beginnings. The main aim here is to thoroughly examine all the evidence to figure out its significance and draw some solid conclusions. These findings are a big deal because they bring new light to a topic we have mostly known through historical records. They give us a fuller picture of that time period. Plus, they can even help confirm or challenge details about the resurrection of Jesus, which would be a huge breakthrough in biblical studies. Moving on to the actual excavation of this tomb, which had been sealed for 2,000 years. The tomb was discovered in March 1980 during the construction of an apartment complex in Talpiot, about 5 kilometers south of Jerusalem. When the construction crew uncovered the tomb, they immediately got in touch with the Israel Antiquities Authority to take a closer look. The IAA put together a salvage team led by the late Yosef Gatt and included experts like Shimon Gibson and Amos Kloner. Their mission was to excavate, map the tomb, and carefully remove its contents for further study and preservation. The excavation process wasn't easy. They had to work quickly to save the site before it was potentially destroyed by the ongoing construction. Plus, they had to use non-destructive methods to avoid damaging the delicate ossuaries and other artifacts inside the tomb. They even used ground-penetrating radar to check out the cave walls and other features within the tomb. And guess what? The cave walls were still intact, which was a fantastic find. Inside the tomb, they found 10 limestone boxes called ossuaries, which were used by Jews for secondary burials. These ossuaries held the bones of the deceased. Typically, bodies were placed in the tomb for about a year to decompose before their bones were transferred to these ossuaries. Among the ossuaries, 6 had inscriptions with the names of the deceased, including some pretty notable ones: Jesus, son of Joseph, and James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. These inscriptions have sparked a lot of debate and analysis. Some scholars believe they provide evidence that this could be Jesus' final tomb. The excavation of this ancient tomb needed a high level of expertise in various fields. The team was packed with top-notch experts in archaeology, epigraphy, which is the study of inscriptions, and Jewish burial practices. These specialists used a range of techniques to carefully study and interpret the artifacts and inscriptions they found inside the tomb. One of the key contributors was Dr. Jody Magnus from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Her deep knowledge of first-century tombs and burial practices provided crucial insights into understanding what they had uncovered. Even though the excavation faced numerous challenges and stirred up some controversies, it brought to light new and important information about the historical and cultural context of Jesus' life and death. The discovery of the ossuaries and other artifacts offered a glimpse into Jewish burial traditions and shed light on the social and economic status of Jesus and his family. This process underscored how essential it is to preserve and study historical sites and artifacts. Continuous research and analysis are vital to deepening our understanding of the past. Now let's shift our focus to Jerusalem, specifically to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a site revered by many as the location of Jesus' burial and resurrection. Here, a groundbreaking discovery was made using ground-penetrating radar. Researchers identified hidden layers behind the marble chamber of the tomb. These layers could very well be the walls of the original cave where Jesus was believed to have been laid to rest. For centuries, it was thought that the original cave chamber had been destroyed. However, the radar tests suggested otherwise, indicating that walls up to 1.8 meters tall still stand behind the marble. During a restoration project, the main marble slab covering the tomb was removed for the first time since 1550. This revealed not only the rubble but also a second marble slab believed to cover the original cave wall. Getting everyone to agree on the restoration project was no small feat. The team was given just 60 hours to excavate the inner sanctum. They worked tirelessly, day and night, to reach the tomb's core and analyze it. Once the restoration is complete, they plan to cut a rectangular window into one of the marble walls of the edicule. This will allow pilgrims to view a part of the limestone wall believed to be Jesus' tomb. So what exactly did they find inside this sacred tomb? When the tomb was opened for the first time in centuries, scientists found, beneath the marble plating, a layer of debris and another marble slab from the 12th century. Beneath this slab lay a whitish layer, the nature of which remains a mystery. The tomb contained a limestone shelf known as a burial bed. According to Christian tradition, this is where Jesus' body would have been laid after his crucifixion. The burial bed was exposed. National Geographic archaeologist Frederick Hibert, who is part of the restoration team, described the discovery as astonishing. The project aims to reinforce and preserve the edicule, which has suffered from years of exposure to humidity and candle smoke. Initial findings confirmed that parts of the tomb had endured destruction, damage, and reconstruction over the centuries. One of the most significant discoveries was the mortar found at the tomb, which dates back to the Constantine era. This finding supports historical accounts of the tomb's discovery by the Romans in the 4th century. The mortar has been dated to approximately 345 AD, firmly within the time of Constantine. When scientists and researchers examined the inscriptions and symbols found in the sealed tomb, they uncovered fascinating insights into early Christian beliefs and practices surrounding Jesus. One of the notable discoveries was a 4-line Greek inscription on an ossuary that refers to God raising up someone. Another significant find was a carved image on an adjacent ossuary, which appears to depict the biblical story of Jonah. This image is particularly important as it symbolizes the hope of resurrection in early Christian art, a rare motif in 1st century Jewish art due to the prohibition within Judaism against creating images of people or animals. These inscriptions and symbols, dated to before 70 CE, provide the earliest archaeological evidence of Christians ever found. This suggests that they were made by some of Jesus' earliest followers within decades of his death. The presence of these inscriptions and symbols in the tomb offers a tangible link to the early Christian community. It gives us a glimpse into their beliefs, practices, and artistic expressions shortly after Jesus' death. The findings and their interpretation are likely to be controversial, since most scholars are skeptical of any Christian archaeological remains from such an early period. Adding to the controversy is the tomb's proximity to another tomb discovered in 1980, which contained inscribed ossuaries that some scholars associate with Jesus and his family, including one that reads Jesus, son of Joseph. These two tombs, located fewer than 200 feet apart, were part of an ancient estate likely belonging to a wealthy family of that time. The tomb, with the new discoveries, is a meticulously carved rock-cut cave typical of Jerusalem from 20 BCE to 70 CE. It was exposed in 1981 by builders and is currently situated several meters below the basement level of a modern condominium in a Jerusalem neighborhood, less than 2 miles south of the Old City. The tomb was resealed and buried beneath the condominium complex on what is now Dov Gruner Street in East Talpiot. In 2009 and 2010, Professors Tabor and Ramoff of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, working with Jacob Basai, obtained a license to excavate the tomb from the Israel Antiquities Authority under the academic sponsorship of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. However, due to its location under a modern building and the potential protests from Orthodox Jewish groups, Tabor's team opted for a minimally invasive procedure to examine the tomb. The identity of the occupant of Jesus' tomb, sealed for 2,000 years, has been a subject of much debate and speculation. The historical documentation of Jesus' crucifixion is well established, with multiple sources confirming the event. The crucifixion, a brutal form of execution, was carried out under Roman authority, and Jesus' death on the cross is documented in both Christian and non-Christian writings from the period. The discovery of the empty tomb is the basis of Christian belief in the resurrection. The Gospels recount that a group of women found the tomb empty on the third day after Jesus' crucifixion, which is widely acknowledged among scholars as a significant piece of evidence supporting the claim of his resurrection. Medical experts have analyzed the Gospel accounts of Jesus' side being pierced with a spear. They concluded that it indicates a severe injury to the heart, thus supporting the certainty of Jesus' death by crucifixion. Archaeological efforts, particularly in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, have exposed the original surface of what is traditionally considered Jesus' tomb. This exposure allows researchers to study the original form of the tomb chamber and understand its evolution as a focal point of veneration, since it was first identified by Helena, mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine, in AD 326. So, what's next for believers? The story of the tomb, believed to be that of Jesus, not only offers a unique opportunity for scholars and theologians to explore early Christian symbols and practices, such as the carved cross on the marble slab, but it also provides historical and cultural context. However, the tomb's discovery does not offer conclusive evidence of the supernatural aspects of Jesus' story, such as the resurrection. The implications of the tomb's discovery extend to the broader religious community, potentially influencing pilgrimage practices and prompting interdenominational discussions about the preservation and significance of holy sites. This discovery has significant implications for historical scholarship, religious faith, and cultural practices. That's all for today. If you found this discovery fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more.